Well, I told Mario,
Well,
how was your Shabbos?
very good, very
Good.
good,
No
and quiet,
complaints. No
and nice
complaints.
weather.
The weather was reasonable. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You can't ask more than that. How are you feeling?
I'm Berkshire. Good, good.
You're back to normal?
As normal as I get, but it's coming along. You got a few more days, I guess.
So it got you really bad then.
Yeah, it was the worst I've had it.
Were
But
you traveling or not?
I was traveling when I got it,
Oh,
but towards the end of the trip, so that worked out.
it's a pain.
But still, it took me for a real looper.
Mm-hmm.
בטוח.
Good.
Harold, oh shit. Oh, Jorge, get back, Jorge.
Good work. שבוע טוב,
¿Cómo está?
כולם. ¿Qué DAF estamos haciendo hoy? Which DAF?
5-9.
Un test of it all.
Oh, muy bien. Oh,
Hello.
Good luck, Walter.
שבוע טוב.
good work.
Shavua Tov, everybody.
שבוע טוב.
שבוע טוב.
How was the valley?
Very good. We had, Rab Chaim Jachter from Teaneck,
Yeah.
the Av Bezdin in Elizabeth, took over for Rabbi Tite. So he's really a first-class Talmid Chacham. I had dinner with him last night. There was no Shabbos at my Mechutn at the Litwins. So it was very nice weather. Okay. We're in the sugya of Sheva Mitzvos Bnei Noach. So we're on Nun Tes 59. We just finished saying that an asay should not have been mentioned in the Sheva, only lavim. That's why we said Nochri Sheshavas, a Nochri that rested on a Shabbos is Chayv Misa. We said, well, that's not, so why wasn't it included? Because it only includes lavim. So the Gemara says, Vadinim kumaseu, the mitzvah to establish the bezdin is an asay, yet the kachashiv. Dinim are one of the Sheva mitzvos. So the Gemara answers, kumasei v'sheval tasinu. Dinim have both. There's, yes, there's an asay to appoint dayanim, but then there's things like don't cheat people, don't do, so the din of dinim is both, and that's why since there are lavim involved, it's included in the Sheva mitzvahs. Now, to further expand the violations of a ben Noach, Amrav Yochanan, Nochri she'oisik b'Torah chayv misa. A Nochri that studies Torah is chayv misa. Shenemar, Torah tziva lanu Moshe, Morasha Kehilas Yaakov. Lanu Morasha, v'lo lahem. It's an inheritance for us, not for them. So, v'lich sheviga b'sheva mitzvos. So why not include it in the Sheva mitzvos? So, Manda Omar. Now there's machlokas. How do you understand the word Morasha? The one who understands it as a Yerusha, and so it's a Yerusha for us, and they don't have any act, so it's like somebody stealing your Yerusha, and therefore Migzel Kagazale, it's Gezel, and there's already a commandment about Gezel. Gezel is one of the Sheva mitzvahs. And Manda Omar Dino Kenara Moirasa, because some say Morasha means Ma'orasad. We are like engaged to Hashem. And Shaviskila, which is already a lav. And they already are commanded to avoid arayas. So either way, it's covered by the Sheva mitzvahs. Meisvei. Hi, Rabbi Oimer. We're asking a kasha now on Rabbi Yochanan's shita that a ben Noach that studies Torah is chayv misa. We have a brayso not like that. Hi, Rabbi Oimer. Nine shafilu nochri v'oisik b'torah shekoin gadol. A nochri, a non-Jew, studies Torah. He's like a kohen gadol. Shenemar. It says ushmartem es chukosai v'mishpatai asher yaaseh osam ha'adam v'chai bahem. The word Adam refers to generic humanity, including Gentiles. Kohanim Leviim Yisrael Nemar doesn't say that only Kohanim Leviim Yisrael should do it. Ha-Adam. Halamarat Rafilu Nochri voice of B'tar, Reka Kohen Gadol. So this is a kasha where Rav Yochanan said that a Nochri ha'oisik b'Torah is chayv misa. Hasam b'sheva mitzvahs tidu. So the halacha is that a Gentile is allowed to study all of the details that apply to the Sheva Mitzvahs Bnei Noach. Then, if he studies those, he's considered a Kohen Gadol. But regular Torah, he's not. Rav Chanina ben Gamliel Oimer, Af Adam min achai. The Mishnah said that the Chachamim hold that one of the mitzvahs Bnei Noach is Aver min achai. A Ben Noach is not allowed to tear a limb off a live animal and eat it. Rav Chanina said it's expanded to dam minachai, that you're not allowed to take blood from a live animal and drink it for a ben noach. Ton rabbanon. Ach besar benafsho damo lo sochel. Zeh ever minachai. You can't eat basar where there's still life in it. That's the source for ever minachai. Pasuk and Bereshis. Rav Chanina ben Gamliel omer afadam minachai. From the same pasuk, there is a prohibition against dam minachai. My time, Rav Chanina ben Gamliel. Kari Bay, it says basar benafsho lo sochel. You cannot eat basar with the nefesh in it, and damo benafsho lo sochel. So he sort of cuts up the pasuk to give you both of the lavim. I've Rabbanan, what do they do with that? Because they hold there's only Eivim Menachai. Prohibition, not Dam Menachai. So they learn it Lemishri Bishrotzim Huda Asa. That there is no prohibition of eating even Eivim Menachai from a sheretz. Because a sheret, by other animals, there's a distinction between its flesh and its dam. But by shrotzim, the dam and the bas are considered one thing. Similarly, it says by the mitzvahs to Jewish people, Rak chazak, levilti achol adam, ki adam hu nefesh, v'lo sochal nefesh ima basar. So rak chazak levilti achol adam ze ever menachai. That's the prohibition for Jews to eat ever menachai. Then ki adam hu nefesh ze dam menachai. Now, the Rabbanon, they don't learn that there's a special Isser of Dam Menachai. What do they do with that pasuk? That when you take blood for bloodletting, because they used to think that had medicinal purposes, to the extent that the person would die, that blood is also asur. So, lameli lemichtiv, livnei Noach, v'lameli lemishtani b'Sinai. So, according to Chanina ben Gamliel, remember, when we came to Har Sinai, we were already b'nei Noach. We already had the basic mitzvos. So, Rav Chanina we were asking, according to Rav Chanina, where there was already an Isser of Dam Menachai, why did it have to be taught in Bereshis for Ben Noach? Weren't Yisrael considered Bnei Noach? So this is needed for the sheet of Rabbi Yosef Bar Chanina, because he had a sheet that said, Kol mitzvah shenemra libnei Noach. Any mitzvah that was initially given to Bnei Noach, v'nishnis b'Sinai, and repeated after Matan Torah. So lezeh ulezeh nemra. That mitzvah was given both to Bnei Noach and to Jews. But nemra libnei Noach, v'lo nishnis b'Sinai, things that were said to the Bnei Noach but not repeated in Sinai. So that's li Yisrael nemra, v'lo livnei Noach. And there's only one example of that. V'anu ein lanu elagida noshe, according to the sheet of Rabbi Yehuda. Because in Sefer Bereshis, it says, Alkein lo yachlu bnei Yisrael eskida noshe. After Yaakov wrestles with the angel and he's struck on his sciatic nerve, it says there, Alkein lo yachlu bnei Yisrael eskida noshe, asher kafa yorach ada yom hazeh. That's only for the children of Bnei Yaakov, even though they were Bnei Noach. So that becomes, and it's never mentioned again in the Torah. It's the only place it's mentioned. So according to Rabbi Yossi, any mitzvah that was given before Sinai and not repeated, it's only for Jews. Now, this detail, the Gemara is going to go at great length in analyzing. Omer Mar. Kol mitzvah shenemar livnei Noach, v'nishnas b'sina l'zeh l'zeh nemar. Any mitzvah that was given in Breishis, and then, for example, we've learned psukim about shvichas damim for Ben Noach and for Gezel. Well, it's all been repeated after, for example, this morning when we learned lo sirtzach, lo sigzol. So that's an example. There, it applies both to Bnei Noach and to Yisraelim. L'zeh l'zeh nemar. So the Gemara wants to say, Adarabba pum fakir. Since Nishnis B'Sinai, since it was repeated at Har Sinai, that's a proof that Li Yisrael Nemar V'lo Bnei Noach. Because if it was also for Bnei Noach, why was it repeated at Sinai? So the Gemara says like this: Midi Isni Avodah Zarah B'Sinai, there is prohibition of worshiping Avodah Zarah B'Sinai. It was also told to the Bnei Noach. The Ashkechan that Onash Nochrim, that Kodesh Baruch Hu punished non-Jews Eloi, like the Tower of Bavel and other places. So we see clearly Shema Mino L'Zel Nimra, that the non-Jews were still on the hook for Avodah Zarah. Now, the second statement was, all mitzvahs that were mentioned Livnei Noach, V'lo nishnas b'sina Yisrael, that were just mentioned in Breishis to Livnei Noach, and not repeated at Sinai, Li Yisrael Nemar V'lo Livnei Noach. Those are only for Jews, not for Bnei Noach. More says Adarabba, Midelo nishnas b'Sinai, the fact that it wasn't repeated at Sinai, maybe Livnei Noach Nemar V'lo Yisrael. Why wouldn't we have thought that that would be a mitzvah only for Bnei Noach and not for Jews? Can't be. Leka made him the Yisrael Sor L'Nochri Aser. We're not going to have something in Yiddishkeit that it's more lenient to be a Jew. It's more stringent to be a Jew. It's not going to be mutter for a Jew and aser for a non-Jew. Make the more of a low. It's not so. I'll show you an example where it's more lenient for Jews than for Goyim. There is a sugya that when Jews went out into battle and they found a beautiful non-Jewess, they could take her they can take her as a wife, or they could have relations with her, and then they because lo dibra Torah el keneged yitzar hara, and then you could marry her. David HaMelech, we learned in Malachim, some of his wives were Yifas Toya. And this was said only to Jews. But a goy is not allowed to do that because it's gezel. So the Gemara says that's not a kasha. Goyim have no permission to go to do battle to conquer other nations. Jews were told, you're going to go into Eretz Canaan and conquer the Sheva Ha'amim. That's a milchama of kibush. There, that's the only time there's a mitzvah of Yifas Torah. That's why it's mutter Yisrael Vasur Nachri, but not because the Jews' level of holiness is less so than the Nachri. So the Gemara says, "V'harei pachos mishaver pruta." Stealing something worth less than a shavar pruta is prohibited to a non-Jew. It's permitted to a Yisrael. A Yisrael is only allowed to steal something worth more than a shavar pruta. Less than a shavar pruta, there's no din of gezel, but there is by a Nachri. In fact, he's put to death for that. That seems to be contradicting our statement here, where there's no example where it's more lenient for Jews than for non-Jews. So the Gemara answers, it's a technical reason. A non-Jew, there's no Indian of mechila of less than a shavar pruta. Because really, taking something that doesn't belong to you, even less than a shavar pruta, is still considered gezel. The thing is, Jews are moichel They don't care if it's less than Shava Pruta. They're moichel to the gasel, but Nochrim are not. They will not be moichel even less. And for them, it's considered gesel, but not because by the nature of things, we're being more lenient for Jews in that case. Okay. Then we said again, Kol mitzvah shenemar livnei Noach v'nishnas b'sina l'zel nemra. Any things that were told to the Bnei Noach and repeated by Sinai, it's a din for both of them. But Vare Mila, shenemar livnei Noach, right? Tichsiv, Avram Avinu was told, "V'atas brisi tishmor." You atav zarecha charecha ledorosam v'nishnis b'Sinai, and then it was repeated at Sinai. It says, "Vayom hashmini yimol b'sar laso." But we know that Yisrael nemar v'lo l'minok. There's no commandment to non-Jews to do circumcision, only to Jews. But according to the principle you just elucidated, it should be done by both. So, answers the Gemara, Hahula Mishri Shabbos Asa, the pasuk of Uvayom Hashmini Yimol B'sar or Lasso, that's not to give the mitzvah of circumcision. That's to allow us to do circumcision on Shabbos when the 8th day falls on Shabbos. To say, Bayom Afilu B'Shabbos, Bayom Hashmini Afilu B'Shabbos. So it's not considered as if the mitzvah of circumcision was repeated at Sinai. Vare Priya Revia, the mitzvah of be fruitful and multiply. Shenemra livnei Noach, because it says, Ve'atem pru urvu, shirtzu ba'aretz urvuva. That was said in Breishis Perek Tes. But Vinishnis b'Sinai. Now, where was it repeated in Sinai? A very obscure place that by Matan Torah, they were told, stay away from your wives for 3 days. And after the whole event, Hashem told Moshe, lechem or lahem, tell the Jewish people, shuva lachem lo lechem. Oel referred to their wives, that now you can return to your wives. And l'chora, that seems to be an exhortation to do pru'urvu. And yet, we know the Yisrael nemar v'lo l'bnei Noach. The mitzvah of pru'urvu is Jews and not the Bnei Noach. So, answers the Gemara in the same way, that when Moshe was told, Shuva lachem lo lechem, that was not the etza mitzvah of pru'urvu, it's to teach me a different principle. Kol davar shebeminyan. Anything that a Sanhedrin voted on and passed, and they made a gzeira, tzarech minyan acher latiro. You need another Sanhedrin to undo the Isser. It just doesn't go away. Hu da'asa. That's what they had to be told, since there was an Isser, the Isser doesn't go away unless there's a specific hoyrah to make it go away. Because it originally said, hey, yunechonim l'shlosis samim al tikshu elisha. And now it had to be undone. So the Gemara says, Yachi kol chada v'chada neimim mishum milsa isni. Maybe all of these Sheva mitzvahs that were given, that were repeated at Sinai, also maybe have a specific reason. And maybe the Bnei Noach would be potter from all of them. So the Gemara says, Hachi kama. Azar mi'adir misna bolamali. What was the purpose to go ahead and repeat all of the Averas? For example, lo tirtzach, don't murder. Lo tinaf, don't commit adultery. These are commandments for no other reason. So therefore, you can't say what you wanted to say, that there's some other reason why it was mentioned. Then we said that any mitzvah that was told to Bnei Noach and not repeated at Sinai, so that's only for Jews and not for non-Jews. And there was only one example of that. Ilanu elakid anosha bilvad, valibed Rav Yehuda. So the Gemara says, Harinami lo isni. So this is not the only example. We just said really the mitzvah of Mila was not repeated. The mitzvah of prover was not repeated. So those should also apply only to Jews. Hani Yisni L'Shum Milsa B'Alma. Pru, and Mila were repeated because Haloyas Niklal, because Gita Anosha was never repeated. It was only mentioned in Sefer Bereshis. Or if you want Iboy Sema, Mila Mikor Lavramu to come Azar Rachmana. Don't say that Mila was given to the Bnei Noach. They were given to Avram. And only to Avram's children. Because it says, Vataz Brisiti Shmor, Atav Zarecha, Acharech Ladorosa. Atav Zarecha in, it means Avram's progeny, yes, but in a Shachrina lo. So that wasn't meant to the Bnei Noach. So, Freiti, well, the Bnei Yishmael Achayvu b'Mila. The Bnei Yishmael should be mechuyev in doing Mila because they're also from Avram. So the Gemara answers, Kivi Yitzchak Yikoi Lechazara. Avram was told only Yitzchak will be called your Zera, not the Bnei Yishmael. Okay, Bnei Esav. The Esav was from Yitzchak, so L'chayva, the Bnei Esav should be Mechayv in Mila. Here also it says, Be Yitzchak. V'lo kol Yitzchak. Only part of Yitzchak, which is Yaakov and not Ishmael. Okay. It comes out that Mila was not given to Bnei Noach, so it's not an example of something that was given to them before and after. Mascular Roshia Lemeata Bnei Keturah. Avram later on married Hagar, who was Keturah. They also should not be Mechoiv and Mila. Oh, Ha'am Rav Yosef Ravim V'item Rav Yosef Bechanina Variel Zachar Shaliyam L'Srar L'Sov Nechazan Evshimeyi as Brisi a part. The Rabbis is Bnei Kura, as Bnei Keturah. There's a special ribuy to include them. Period. Rashi learns that it was only in that generation, not forever. So the Bnei Keturah of that generation had to have Mila, but nobody else. So we're going to learn tomorrow also at 8 p.m. the Gemara.
Okay.
We'll stop here because we got to get ready for the Nachshir.
All right.
In a few
Okay,
minutes. Yeah.
Nachshir will start at 8 o'clock. Tomorrow we'll pick up here at 8 o'clock.